To today's training week, day 3. We're so excited for you guys to be here today. There's a lot to cover, so we're just gonna kind of dive on in. Jen, do you want to take this next slide?
Yes, of course. Welcome, guys. We're so excited that you're here today. Just a few items to make note of. This webinar is being recorded and it's going to be sent to the email that you use to register by Monday. So keep an eye out for that email. You'll get all the links to all the sessions that we've had this week. If you have any questions, please ask them in the Q&A in the upper right-hand corner. Looks like some of you guys are getting familiar with the chat right now, letting us know where you're from. But it's a lot easier for our reps in the back to be able to help answer questions if you try to get them answered in the Q&A section. So try to be aware of that. And if you have a question you want answered, ask it there. Our agenda for the day. So my name is Jen and I am a customer training specialist. And the beautiful Adria is going to be presenting today. She is one of our product training specialists. And today we're going to be going over all things payments in New Weave. So we're going to talk about how to create payment requests, view Venmo invoices, payment plans, and online bill pay. I do want to talk a little bit about our training resources. So we do have 2 great resources, and I'm actually going to add them in the chat right now. First of all is Weave Help. You can go to Weave Help to chat with support reps. It's kind of like a Google for Weave. You can search for specific features and find articles and or videos on those features. And then we have Weave Training Camp. Weave Training Camp is my personal favorite for all things training. If you go to Weave Training Camp, you can still use the search field, search for products, but those are going to have courses laid out for those specific features, and they are self-paced. It's going to be really helpful for you guys. So I wanted to make sure that we sent those out. I'm going to go ahead and turn the time over to Adria to present. And if we do have time at the end, we'll hop on again for a little Q&A. And we're going to be sending you guys out a survey at the end. We really like to get your feedback on these sessions, what we're doing good, what we can improve on. So please stick around for that. We're really excited. I'll go ahead and let Adria take over here for you.
Great. Thank you so much, Jen. We are going to be going over payments, and I'm really excited about it because Weave has had a full overhaul of what it looks like. If you are not familiar with it already, we've gone over a lot this week, but payments is really exciting. So I'm going to share my screen here. What I will say with payments, just really quick, this is an added feature. If this is something that you are interested in, you can always click the Request Weave demo up in the top right corner of the screen. You should see it right above where I'm sharing. You can click that and we can have one of our account executives reach out to you to talk a little bit more about that. With that being said, I'll just say it because I'm sure there will be some questions. There is no additional charge to your Weave bill. We just charge a processing rate, and that processing rate is going to differ depending on a plethora of different things. So just keep that in mind. You won't see a difference in your Weave bill, but you'll just be charged that processing rate. And as I show you a couple of things, you'll see how you can see that. It spells it out pretty clear for you, which is really nice. But this is the new Weave experience. If you guys are not familiar with this already, I'm going to show you guys how to change back and forth between the old experience and the new experience. So I'm going to click on, this is the new experience that I'm sharing with you. If I click on portal, it takes me back to the view that you're probably used to in the portal. So if I come in here on the left-hand side in the portal, it says switch to app. If I click switch to app, it takes you right to this new experience page. This is a place, I will say payments, excuse me, there's a lot to payments, but the new experience makes it a lot easier for you to see everything very clearly, all in one place, and you're not having to bounce around, which makes it really nice. So this is the dashboard. Sorry. I will tell you this, what I'm sharing with you is the new Weave experience, but this is all dummy data. So my information is going to look just slightly different than yours. You guys will probably have a lot more data in your Weave than I do on mine. So just keep that in mind, and also know I'm not sharing any personal information or anything like that. But this is the dashboard. You can have a payment summary on here, which is really nice. It is today, but you can click on the little today option. Oh, I thought you could. Maybe you can't. Sometimes you can change that to see specific days if you want to see historical information. But you can see that here on the dashboard. You can see what your net total was, what your fee total was, and what was refunded, which is really cool that you can see this just really spelled out for you. Then if you come over here on the left-hand side, so you have home, messages, calls, schedule, then you have payments. If you click on payments, it'll take you to your payments invoice history. This is the main page that you will see. Um, like I said though before, historically you've had to go into the portal to be able to see all this information. Now it's all just right here. You don't have to be switching back and forth anywhere, which again makes things so nice just to be able to see where everything is. But you can see your invoice history. So I am set to all invoices. You can toggle it right here to paid, there's refunded, and there's also outstanding. So you can see all of those here. And then below, just so you can see quickly with all of the invoices, you can see the statuses. So it says paid, unpaid, fail, partially paid, partial refund. You can see all the different statuses there that you'll be able to see. Up in the top right corner, you can click on new invoice and you can change your location. So if you guys have multiple locations that you need to be able to process payments through, you can click the drop down. If you have multiple locations, then you can do that. If you want it to be by a specific provider, you can. This is optional. The location needs to be on your location. If you only have one location, then you don't have to worry about it. It'll default it there. But the provider is optional. But if you wanted to have the provider on there, you can. Then you just type in the customer's name. So I'm just going to process a payment for Zoe. We'll say Zoe owes us $150 today. And then one thing that I will say is be careful with that decimal mark. I have seen so many times where people add an extra zero, add a couple zeros. I don't think they owe us $15,000. It's just 150. So just be very cautious when you are entering that amount that you are paying attention to how much you're actually putting in there with the zeros. So just keep that in mind. If you wanted to add a memo, you can. You can add a memo that says like this is, insurance has already been taken care of or whatever. This is your remaining balance, anything like that. If you want to add a memo, you absolutely can. It is not mandatory. So you don't need to do that if you don't want to. Then you have your attachments. So you can upload a document. If you wanted to add like a statement or an invoice of any kind that you want them to be able to see like, hey, your insurance was already taken care of and this is what is remaining. Or you want to itemize a listing like, hey, this is what we're charging you for, these different reasons. It makes it nice. Instead of just sending a text to payout for $150 saying, hey, you owe us, this can add a little bit more of clarity as to why they're being charged. So once you have that in, again, optional, you don't need to upload anything. You don't need to add a memo if you don't want to. If you want to just charge it, you can. And then you'll just click create at the bottom. And then it'll create a request here. So you can see this request. You can click on collect payment and you could do a text to pay at terminal. So if you have like a terminal in the office, they want to like swipe, tap, or insert their card, they can. If you want to do a card on file, you can. If you want to do a manual card entry or if you want to use Sunbit, you can do that. So I'll just click on text to pay. It's going to say, hey, Zoe, this is your office name. You have a balance due. Please use a secure link to pay. If you want to select a template, so you want to say something different, you can. You can add a new template by creating a new template, or you can use one of the ones that are already in there. Oh, I should not have done that. I should have clicked on one. There we go. So you can click on send now, or you can use the schedule send option. So you click the little drop down. So you can say, hey, I want to send this tomorrow morning. I want to send this on Monday. You can customize the time. If you want to wait a little bit, you can do that. So if you're, your payments person, whoever's over all of your billing in the office is wanting to get things taken care of, but they're like, hey, I want to get everything taken care of on Monday, so I don't have to worry about it all on Friday when we need to collect. You can schedule it, which makes it really nice to do that. But I'll just click on send now and it sends that text right out for you. And then you can see up at the top, this is unpaid still. This is a payment request that have come in. Then you can see the payment information. So if you do a text to pay, your patients can use their Apple Pay. They can use Google Android Pay. Sorry, I'm an iPhone user, so I don't know what that is, but you can use that. They can use anything that's saved on their phone. They can use American Express. They can use Visa. They can use Discover, MasterCard, anything like that. And it's going to be the rate that you're charged is the exact same across the board. So they can use any way that they want to process a payment. They can use any type of credit card that they want to use. Just makes it really nice. This also just gives more information of like what you created. So if there's an invoice here, if you add any notes, you'd be able to add those there. Okay, if you go back into your invoices, you can see all the invoices here. If you need to process a refund for any reason or another, you can click on the statement or the invoice that you need to process or payment for, or sorry, process a refund for. And you can see here. So this one was for $95. Keep in mind, I can't refund anything more than that. So if I needed to refund $100, I would have to find another transaction that was that extra $5. So just keep that in mind. I am seeing what the processing rate question is. It's going to be different for everybody. If you have questions about it, if you have payments, you should have an email with the information on it to know exactly what your rate is. Or you can reach out to Weave and we'd be able to get that information for you. But I'm sorry, there's too many of you on here to know exactly what your account is and all that stuff. But your processing rate is going to be different. That's why I'm not saying a rate or anything, because it's going to be different for a lot of people. So just keep that in mind. Okay, if I wanted to refund this though, so I can see this was done on October 24th. I can click on these three dots and I can click send a receipt. So if you need to do that, print a receipt, refund, or mark it as recorded. So I can click on refund here and I can say, hey, we're going to actually do $55. You choose the reason, if it was requested by a customer, a duplicate, or if it was fraudulent, you can do that. I'll just say it was requested. And then there's the customer email. I highly recommend that when you do any type of payment processing, that you add an email in there. Even if it's just to your office, if it's just a generic email, I recommend that somebody gets that email. And I do encourage that you get that email from your patients or your clients. So that way you are able just makes things a little easier. Then you just click on refund and it processes that refund for you. And you'll see here in just a second, it was successful. It takes a second here. It doesn't take too long. But just know that when you do that refund, it does take about 5 to 10 days for your patient or client to see that refund come through. So just keep in mind that it's not going to go immediately. But then you can see on this transaction how you can see it was at 11:12 today, which is now. I refunded $55 and then now the status is partially refunded. So you can see that option there. If I go into invoices, you'll be able to see that that status stays the same. So it's partially refunded and you can see that information. Now what's cool is on here is you can see what the amount was paid, when it was paid, what the fee that was taken out of that payment, and then your net, what you were actually taking home, which makes that nice to be able to see. Then you can see what type of payment it was, if it was a manual card entry, if it was a text to pay, if it was an online bill pay, anything that you'd be able to see what the payment method was. Then you can see what their credit card was that was charged. So if they're like, hey, can you tell me what the last 4 or 5 card was? You can see that really quick right there. So that makes it really nice. You can see, you can see all of this information right here on the invoice history. And it is as fast as you have it done, it updates it for you. So that makes it really nice. Okay, we'll go on the left-hand side. That was a lot of information just right here on the invoice history page. Then you have your refunds. So you can just see what was refunded here. So if you ever need to print this list out, export it, anything like that, you can. It defaults to all time. So if you want to change the view to say today, yesterday, current month, last month, if you want to customize the date range, you can always do that if you wanted to do so. Then you have your payouts, which your payouts are what has been collected in the office. So all the money that has been collected and has been transferred to your bank account. This does take a minute to load sometimes, so I apologize, but this will show you all of the transactions that have gone to your bank. So you know how much is actually gone into your bank account, which is really nice. You can click into them. So I'll click on the one that was done today. And again, sorry, it just takes a second to load because there's a lot of information in here. But you can see the payout. So you can see the date, you can see the amount, you can see the ID number if you ever need that. You can see your bank information. Just double check that it's all correct still. You have a summary. So I can see there were 19 charges, 1 refund, and you can see what else was going on there. Then you have a list of all of the transactions. So you can see the name. So I can see Christy Abbott here was $73. The fee was $2.26, and I net $70.74, which makes that nice just to be able to see it very spelled out, and you don't have to do any of the math. We do it for you, which is nice. So that is the payouts page. Now, one thing that some offices like to do is well, I don't say you like to, you need to reconcile your payments. If you want to go through and reconcile your payments through the invoices page that I just showed that we were just on, you can do so there and you can filter by the days, or you can come into the payouts page into the transaction section, which is where I'm at. There's this little export button up here in the top right corner of the transactions where you can export this list, you can print it out, and then you can just cross the names off. Depends on how you want to do things. Personally, I think this is a great way to go about it. Some people like to go to the invoices page. You can also export that list there. If you are a person that needs to print it and manually mark it off, or you want to check it off, you can always do so. I'll just show you here on invoices one more time. On this invoices page, all the way over to the left-hand side, the first column there is recorded, and you can see a little line. If I click that line, oh, maybe not. Let's see. I think I have to click, oh, it's because it's not paid. If I click, oh, no, it's not gonna let me do that. You used to be able just to click that line and it would mark it as recorded, but you can click into it and you can click on, well, maybe not. They changed that. Sorry, we learn things new every day. But you can go in here. Oh, here, you click the little check mark right here. You mark as recorded and it adds that check mark right there. So if you hover over it, there's a little square with an X. You can unmark it or you can click that check mark and you can mark it again there. Sorry, they're changing things all over the place. So sorry about that. We're learning too. This is all new for everybody. So don't be too stressed with learning all the new stuff because we're all learning too. Okay, so that's how you can record the payment in there and mark it as recorded in Weave if that is something that you need or want to do. Okay, so we went over refunds, payouts. There's also a buy now, pay over time option. It's a third party we use through Sunbit. If this is an option that you want to use, you are more than welcome to use it. You do need to go to the Stripe dashboard. It will have you fill out all kinds of information, so make sure that you do that. Okay, then you have online bill pay, which this is a really great option. There's a couple things you can do here. You can add this QR code that pops up. This is customized specifically for your account, so just know that. You can add this. I've seen offices do it where they add it to like their statements, like their paper statements they send in the mail. They add that to the top of the invoice and they just say scan this QR code and you could pay your bill. If that's something you want to do, you can also add it to your website. If you want to add that and that's easier for you, you can. There's also a button snippet that you can use where it says pay your bill and it says copy an embedded code. So you can embed that into your website if that is something that you want to do. If you have someone, if you don't know how to add this into your website, your IT person will, or whoever runs your website will know how to use this. But this is the information that they'll need. So they'll need to be able to copy the links, images, embedded codes, anything like that. You can view that all right here. Okay, then you have your payment plans. Now, this is something that's really exciting and I think is a really awesome way to collect payments in your office. So we do have the buy now, pay over time option, but we also have payment plans. So if you want to, when you do the buy now, pay over time through Sunbit, there is a soft credit check that is required. If you don't want to worry about that with some of your patients or your clients, you don't have to. You can use our payment plan. If there is, here, I'll just show you how it works. I won't explain too much. If I click on new payment plan in the top right corner, it's going to load again, so I apologize. But sorry, this pop-up keeps coming up. You have to add a payment plan name. So I would say Zoe Test is all I'm going to say on there. Then you add the customer name. So I'm going to say Zoe Greenwood here. And then the amount. So I'll say she owes us, we'll say $5,000. And then you can choose the cadence. So if I could say monthly, biweekly, weekly, whatever you want. So I can say I want this to be monthly for the next, let's say 10 months. Then you could say the first pay, like the date of the first payment. So I could say, hey, we're going to do this on November 1st. This is the Visa, so you can click on change and you can add in. If they have like a card on file, it will save it there. Or you can click on add new card if you wanted to do that. Whichever way you want to do. The ACH is a way that your patients it'll send them an email to save their card on file, which will be more their banking information. So like their routing number and things like that with the ACH there. But I'll just click on save so that Visa is there. If you want to add any kind of memo here or a note here, you can do so there. And then, but it's not mandatory. You don't have to add that if you don't want to. So just keep that in mind. There's a little asterisk, a little like star asterisk next to the ones that are required, and it won't let you preview it until you've filled that out. So just keep that in mind. Then you have to send confirmation email. Make sure that this is your patient's or your customer's email and it's the proper email, so that way they can get that invoice once it's been charged. Then it'll give you a summary down here. So payment plan summary, $500 every month starting on November 1st. We'll click this. Everything sounds good. You can also play with this number. So if I do want to say, hey, this is going to be every 12 months, or they're like, hey, I can't do that. Let's do 45 months and it's 11 or it's $111.11 every month if you want to do it that way. So you can play with that payment number. I'll just stick with the 10 here just to make it a round even number for us. We'll click on preview. It'll give you just an overview, just says, hey, this is what's happening. This is who it was created by. This is the balance. This is who it's going to. This is how often. This is the email. This is the billing method. Once everything's good, or if you're like, hey, you know what, we need to continue editing, you can click on continue editing and go back to that page, or you can click on create payment plan and it will take you to the payment plan where it was created and you're good to go. So this makes it really nice. You can see all of this information here with all of your payment plans. And this is just a reoccurring payment that happens. And it just charges that card automatically. One thing though that I do recommend is that you come in, if you're using payment plans, which I highly recommend you use, but make sure you come in here periodically just to make sure that nothing has failed. Sometimes people's credit card, they get a new credit card or their expiration date changes or things happen, and I'm sure you guys know that a lot better than I do, but just make sure you come in here and you're checking it just to make sure that you have the correct information. Okay, I did see another question that came in about your interest, like the rates and everything. Payment plans everything that I'm showing you comes with payments. There is no additional charge to your Weave bill. We just charge a processing rate, and that processing rate will change. So or not change, but it will be different depending on your office and how much you're processing and things like that. So just keep that in mind, but you can always view your rate information. There should be an email that was sent to you with that information, or you can always call into Weave. Our support team will be able to answer those questions for you. Okay, so that goes over your payment plans, everything just right in here. Now, if you're like, I don't want to come into Invoices every time and create a payment request, I'm in the schedule or I'm in messages all the time. What you could do is you can go into messages, which is a little newer, so just bear with me. We've talked about this a little bit, but I want to just show you this. If you click on the patient themselves, so say you're texting Zoe here. Sorry, I'm using Zoe as an example because it goes to my cell phone, so it makes it a little easier for me to respond if I need to. But if you come up here into the very top right corner, there's an option to call, you can archive, you can view the contact information, and then there's these three dots. If I click these three dots, that's not what I wanted actually. Would it be oh, here we go. It's in templates. So if you come down to the very bottom, sorry, where it says type something, below that, there's the option to update your signature or add a signature if you don't have one. There's an add image, there's a little smiley face button, and then there's your templates. If I click on the templates, I can click on payment reminder. It will pull up all of the outstanding balances or outstanding payments that this specific patient has. So you can say, hey, I want to send a reminder for this one. So I can just say insert. It says, hey, this is our office. You have a balance due. Please use this secure link to pay. And then I can click the little paper airplane and send that right out to her. Again, you can always click the little drop down if you want to wait a little bit and schedule send it. You can always do so that way. But that way it makes it really nice. The other way you can go into is in the schedule. So when you're looking at your schedule for the day, you can look and say, hey, Jake Johnson was just in the office. And you can click the three dots in the top right corner here, and you can request a payment right from the schedule. So that makes it really nice. If I click on that, you can just click that invoice right here. It already pulls up the patient's information. You can just say the amount, will say $100. And then we can create that invoice, collect payment. We'll say pay at terminal. And then mine is not registered, but it'll go straight to the terminal so that you can see that really quick right there. So we can just select the terminal. I don't know if it's going to work. Oh, it is going to work. But it's going to that terminal. So then that way they can swipe, tap, or insert their card. Okay, that's a lot of information with payments. It was a little bit more higher level. I didn't want to dive like super deep, but I do want you guys to know where everything is. sorry, we're going to exit out of this. Um, just so that you can see that. Really quick, Holly, I did see your question. Can I show the signature? I'm going to show you really quick. So if I click on Zoe's name, I have update signature. I have a signature added in mine, but you can add one. So you can say, dash Adria, if I can spell my name. And then anytime I send a text, it just shows that it's from me. So that way you can see that signature right there. So that way, because when you're texting your patients, 5 of you in the office could have been texting that patient. So if you want to know them to know specifically that you were the one that sent that, you can add that automatically there. Okay, Jen, I'm going to turn it back over to you to open up to a Q&A. And as Jen's coming back on, I do just want to remind you, you can click on the Request Weave demo up in the top right corner there. On like the actual webinar page. So if this is something that you're interested in, you do want to talk a little bit more in depth about, click that and we can have one of our account executives reach out to you and they can give you more of that information. Jen, what questions do we have?
Awesome. So I feel like we're getting a lot of questions in regards to write-back. So payments, right? When you take a payment through Weave, is it going to write back into your PMS, your EHR? Unfortunately, this time we don't have a lot of write-backs available. So I just want to let you guys know there are a few EagleSoft 18 and above. It looks like Edison for dental and also Open Dental has write-backs at this time. I think we may always be working towards working with that a little bit more, but other than those 3, unfortunately, we don't have the write-backs. So everything else as far as payments and Weave would be manually updating into the ledger. So that's also something that wanted to let you guys know. Now, another question I've seen a lot is a lot of people are asking, what are these fees, right? What is the processing fees? What is that? So one of 2 ways. If you guys are just thinking you don't want to switch over your terminals to Weave and you just want to use Stripe to do like text to pay, online bill pay, payment plans, things like that, you can walk through the setup of Stripe in your software and it will give you those details. You don't even have to finish the setup. I think it will give you the details of what the processing fee is and the percentage. Now, if you guys are interested in using our terminals and want to switch over to, Stripe and our terminals, I would recommend setting up a call with one of our account managers. And up at the top of this section, there's a request Weave demo. So you can actually fill out your information there to request the demo. Usually what the upsell reps will ask for is 3 months of your current merchant service statements. So they want to see how much flow you guys are having coming in the office, and then they'll give you the best rate they can based on that. So yeah, go check out the Stripe rates in your Weave if you want, or reach out to the upsell team if you want to have a more accurate thing on that.
Okay, one question that I want to also talk about, because I've seen it a couple times and I've seen a lot of Canadian people being on. Currently, payments is not available in Canada. That is something that we are working on. I do know that, but it is currently not available at the time. But again, we're always working, you guys. We're always trying to make things better. So just keep that in mind. If you guys ever have feedback for us or anything like that, let us know. With that being said, I'm going to launch our survey so you can let us know how we did. And if there's anything that you want us to talk about in our coming workshops, we do webinars every month. So we like to hear what you guys have to say. Sorry, Jen, was there anything that you wanted to add?
Yeah, one of the things I want to touch base on real quick, because we have a really cool auto message now for payment requests. Did you want to show that real quick?
Yeah.
Okay.
Let me pull this back.
A lot of people were saying, hey, can we just automatically have statements sent out? And most of the time, you'll have to manually send them out unless you want to set up your
I will
here
say
that
this.
Midra's going to show you.
This only works. Oh, darn it. It's not going to be on here. Oh, here it is. This only works if you're an integrated office. So if you're not integrated, this will not work, unfortunately. But you have your payment reminder text. So if you wanted to add one of these reminders, just saying like, hey, you still have an invoice that you haven't paid, you can set this up. With text to pays, just in general, so you know this, you do collect your payments a lot quicker than you do a paper statement because it's going right to their phone and they can pay it. So I would recommend doing like a week later and probably be about 10 to 15 days later is adding those in there. You just click that plus button right here and you can add in this new, we'll just say payment. and then just select the payment. We'll say payment reminder, and then you can add in all of that good information that you would like to add in there. Just make sure you click on create auto message, and then you're good to go. Make sure it's turned on. Whew, that was a lot of talking, Jen.
Awesome. It was a lot.
We will see you guys at our next workshop, just starting here in just a few minutes. Thanks so much, you guys. Have a good one. We'll see you next time.
Bye,
Bye-bye.
guys.